communities here are about to go to the polls, and the issues that matter to the people living here matter to all of us. But are the candidates battling to become the next MP really listening? And if they win, will they deliver?
Are there actually this much of people in 21st century struggling for food?
Queensway has got a reputation. Wellingborough is a place that has so much potential. Somebody needs to do something with that potential.
Welcome to St Mark's Church on the Queensway estate for another by-election special. You can see we've dusted off our old Politics East lectern there. And with me, 6 of the people wanting to become the next MP. But before we hear from them, let me just give you an idea of where we are. And to do that, let's take a bird's eye view. Now, this estate is one of 23 communities in our region labelled as left behind by the government in 2019. And just like many of our towns and cities, there are problems here with crime and violence and drugs. But as you can see from this map, the constituency covers more than just Queensway, more than just Wellingborough. In fact, it takes in all of these places, and the next MP will be representing around 80,000 voters. Now, there are 11 candidates. You can see a full list on the BBC website. We have 6 of them here. And I want to kick things off by getting a sense of what you're all about, okay? And to do that, we're going to do it in 3 words. Tough, I know. But off you go. Helen Harrison for the Conservatives. 3 words, please.
I listen, I campaign, and I deliver.
OK, and Jen Kitchen for Labour.
Thank you. A fresh start.
OK, and Anna Savage-Gunn for the Liberal Democrats.
Integrity, action and ownership.
Ben Habib, Reform UK.
I can do it in 2. Rule Britannia.
OK, and Will Morris for the Green Party.
Hi, fairer, safer Wellingborough.
And Marion Turner-Hall, standing as an independent candidate.
I'm compassionate, tenacious and creative.
OK, well, thank you very much for sticking to that. You will all get the chance to say a lot more, I promise you, a little later in the programme. But I want to introduce Father Ben, whose church this is. Although I know you'd say it's not your church, it's the community's church, isn't it? Tell me what happens here.
Yeah, very much so. We're a community hub, and we have a nursery during the day, 5 days a week, lots of youth programmes and youth interventions, warm spaces and safe spaces on Wednesday, and measures to combat loneliness and various needs of various kinds.
So much more than just a Sunday morning service then.
Yeah, that's right.
And also, I know this place represents a safe place, which, as you've been telling me about, is really important for the community here.
If you're going to ambush someone, you see, it's quite a busy crossroads there. So people will jump out of a car quite quickly and can get someone here on this crossing if they're on foot.
So there've been shootings here, stabbings here?
2 shootings here and a number of stabbings.
Right outside your church?
Right outside, during daylight hours as well. They're hooded, they've got masks on, balaclavas, so...
And these are young people, are they?
Young people, yeah.
But why? Why is it happening, do you think?
I think violence and criminality can sometimes offer people inclusion where they've been excluded previously.
So you mean the gangs are saying, look, we'll look after you, you can be part of us, and that's appealing?
They make them that offer and they can feel cool, they can feel esteemed, all of a sudden it's money available. But we need programmes of intervention well before kids are even tempted to join gangs. Programmes that make them realise that they have got options in life and there are better paths to tread.
So the stabbings and the shootings you were telling me about that happened on that zebra crossing, thankfully they weren't fatal, but what happened here, it was a 16-year-old boy who lost his life, wasn't it?
Dyan Holiday, he was stabbed 13 times. his life came to an end at this spot.
And that rocked the community, didn't it?
Absolutely crushed, and people came out to celebrate his life at his funeral.
You took the funeral.
I took the funeral, and there was, I think, a commitment from the community then that we can't allow this to happen again. And some good things came. Off the streets were formed, bleed kits were put out across the community, and we're hoping that this legacy bike track will be in honour of Dinner's name.
Yeah, a bike track on a piece of land just up here, I think.
Yeah.
Can we go and have a look?
Yeah.
Okay.
The kids on the estate absolutely love biking. Some people interpret that as a bit of a nuisance in the park or anywhere else. So we'll bring it here where it isn't a nuisance. We could teach mechanics, we could develop mentoring and resilience. We could make this a really good place of renewal.
There is a lot of hope here. You know, there are a lot of people that want good stuff to come out of here. You kind of just need to tap into it.
Absolutely, there's lots of amazing people in this area. So we just need a community champion that's going to be up to our game really and make it happen.
And that's the new MP. You need someone to champion this place, yeah?
God willing, yeah.
Well, of course, Queensway is just part of this constituency, but the problems experienced by people here are reflected, well, across everywhere, across our region, aren't they? So, Helen, let's start with you. The community is looking for someone, we heard, who will be their champion. How would you do that?
The video that you just showed is hugely powerful, and you know, we all remember the awful death of Dyan. And what I think was so shocking was the ferocity of what happened to him. It was absolutely awful, and the community were reeling after that. And I know that we all came together, and that was what was so important. So I think almost within a week of his death, we had the march here in Wellingborough, in Queensway. Marion was there, Father Ben was there. We marched in solidarity, and we marched against knife crime and having a safer street. Now, that might not seem like a big thing, but it did mean that the community came together.
But still, people don't feel safe, that's the thing.
And so since then, what we've seen is a huge amount of effort go in. So I was just speaking to the Police and Crime Commissioner this morning. We now have more police in Northamptonshire than we've ever had at any time in our history. I thought it was 237 more police officers. I've been told it's actually 330.
Well, policing levels have only come back up to what they were 13 years ago after them being cut down quite
They are
a bit.
actually above those levels now.
I think.
They're higher. But that's really, really important, because what people tell me on the doorstep is they want to see visible policing on the streets.
So policing is the key then. Let me move on. There'll be a chance to have...
Can I just say about the youth police officers now who are part of our community teams? I think that's absolutely vital. So that goes hand in hand with the increased number of officers.
Okay. Jen, I mean, Dylan's mum actually came to talk to me when we were doing that bit of filming. And what she told me, what she wants, I mean, it wasn't a big ask. She wants to be able to walk from her house to the corner shop after 5 o'clock in the afternoon and feel safe. And she doesn't at the moment, despite, as Helen was saying, you know, there are more police than ever before.
In fact, we've been hearing this across the constituency. We've been hearing it in Rushden, Hyme, Ferris and Findon as well. People across the constituency don't feel safe. And I think crime, and particularly youth crime, isn't just one solution. You can't just say more police, but you have to look at it from a range of ways, so more youth provision, better lighting, better safety. In fact, you showed the underpass that the children of weavers painted because they didn't feel safe. And having had conversations with John, the head teacher at Weavers as well, he said he can keep children safe in school and they do incredible extracurricular activities, but it's that journey between school and home. So
if you became the next MP, what is your first priority to answer that concern then?
Well, firstly, it is making sure that there are police and visible police, but then secondly, it's making sure that our third sector feels supported and are able to go out and get grants. That's my background, that's what I've done before, and that is a really practical way that an MP can support the great work already being done.
Let me bring Anna in, because Anna, I know that you were a police officer yourself, so you know the challenges from both sides, don't you?
Yes. Let me address the elephant in the room. You have to get people in Wellingborough to start trusting politicians again. When you take into account that the population of Northamptonshire has grown by 25%, we're actually 400 officers short of what we should be per capita. That's 100 officers on duty every single hour of the day that we're short.
There we are. Helen Harrison, answer that point. Look,
I'm all for more police officers, and I know
do you admit that there is a shortage that Anna has just pointed out?
I think
there?
if you look across the country, we've had an explosion in our population, and we've got to keep up in terms of our services.
All right. So it's more police officers.
Well, combined with bringing the community in, I see the MP as being central to bringing in the church, the schools, the youth groups, volunteers, sporting organisations,
that third
art
sector
and
that
theatres,
Jen was talking about.
all of that.
Ben, what for you is the answer here?
Well, I mean, Northamptonshire is not any different from the rest of the country, frankly. This is happening right across the United Kingdom. What we've got is a collapse of public sectors right across the UK. We've got an economy that's not growing. And I think what we need to do is understand the holistic causes of the increase in knife crime. Of course, we need more police officers, particularly because we've had so much immigration over the last few years, which we must cut back. But the other really crucial thing to identify are the factors that feed into the need for people to go out and commit crimes. I mean, one of the issues that I've got, for example, is the almost legitimization of criminality by the police, who now won't pursue what they call petty crime. And there's no such thing as...
Things like shoplifting and things like that.
Shoplifting. Okay. And there is no crime that is victimless. But the police have adopted that, and that emboldens criminality because they think they can actually get away with things.
Well, I'm sure the police would be saying they're doing absolutely what they can. But Will, let me come to you.
Yep.
Life here could be better. I think all of you would agree on that, and everyone that we have filmed and spoken to would agree on that. How, if you were the next MP, would you deliver? How would you do it?
Well, it's top down and bottom up. There's a saying in German, the fish stinks from the head downwards. I think we have to look at how we conduct ourselves in public life. I think we have to look at the example that we set. I think we have to look at why young men in particular are attracted to what seems an easy life of gangs and drugs and cash, because we're showing them that that is the way to go. So it's about credibility, it's about visibility, and it's about investment. So you need to address why young men in particular go into these gangs, why there is this criminal element, and part of that is giving them a path that they can develop through proper apprenticeships.
Okay, apprenticeships, okay. Marion, coming to you now, I mean, how do you champion the people here?
Well, I'm actually doing quite a lot of championing in the community at the moment anyway, and I think coming back to points made earlier on, you know, our safety is a partnership between the police and the community. And what I've been doing for the last 10 years is being on that other side of the partnership. You know, we can't blame the police for not performing if they don't have enough resources to perform. And I've worked really closely with the police in these communities across the whole of Wellingborough and beyond, doing things like street watch, community watch. It's not just about expecting them to do everything, but it's our safety. We need to be in the vanguard of leading that safety and meeting our needs together.
All right, well, look, I mentioned at the top of the programme that there are actually 11 candidates standing to be the next MP here. You can see a full list and read a little bit more about them and what they stand for by going to the BBC website and searching for Wellingborough by-election. And I'm going to remind you of that a little bit later as well. OK, so look, we know this place has been labelled as left behind, but what does that really mean? Well, let me just show you this, because this map here, the shaded area is where we are now, Queensway, where the average life expectancy is 76 years for a man, 80 for a woman. But literally, in a few hundred metres from where we're standing now, the figures jump into the 80s for both men and women. So can we just We just keep that graphic up for a little longer so we can take that in. I mean, it is as simple and as shocking as on one side of the road, you're quite likely to be able to live longer than on the other. But look, Queensway is not without hope, as my colleague Ben has been finding out.
From a young age, there was always somewhere to go, always something to do. Now, there isn't that.
So I converted my garage into a food bank. Are there actually this much of people in 21st century struggling for food?
The Queensway has got a reputation, simple as that.
How do you feel about that, and how left behind does it feel?
I think we've come a long way in the last 5 years. I think we've come a long way, but there's still a long way to go.
I don't feel like it feels any more left behind than any other area that has some challenges like every other community does.
Voices of those who live and work in and love Queensway.
They're scared for themselves, they're scared for their friends, and we wanted just to provide them somewhere safe to be.
Fiona Locke runs the youth club at St Mark's Church. She grew up on Queensway and now lives elsewhere in Wellingborough.
If I speak to my 16-year-old now, he still says to me, I don't want to go out. I don't want to be anywhere where there's crime, where there's gangs.
And her priority this election?
More investment in children's mental health, because it feels like they're being failed.
It's not only for the people who are homeless, who are benefit, it's people like us who work as well. We struggle.
Mary converted her garage on Queensway into a food bank that now supports 90 families a week.
Until I started doing the food bank, I wasn't aware that there are people generally. You know, you see a people, they are dressed up nicely, you know, have a good clothes, they have a house, everything, but in fact is they are the ones sometimes they have to sleep empty stomach.
Alongside crime and deprivation, inequality, which becomes clear when comparing Queensway with its neighbour, the Gleneagles area. This is the road that separates those two areas, and according to the Office for National Statistics, their best estimate for life expectancy says people on this side of the road will live 4.5 years less than those on that side of the road.
That's fine, that'll work, brilliant.
10 minutes walk from the church is Weavers Academy.
I think the children here are resilient, they're brilliant at problem solving.
Weavers' principal says his students deserve inspirational places to learn.
And I think if we could match our tenacious and creative approach to problem solving and education with continued investment and capital funding, just imagine what we could all achieve.
There's no doubt Wellingborough's next MP faces complicated challenges here. But for many who live and work on Queensway, it might have been labelled left behind, but it hasn't been left without hope.
OK, so Jen, I mean, if you became the next MP, how would you address the inequality that we saw in Ben's report?
I think it was really shocking, the graphic that you put up between the health disparities between some of the areas in Wellingborough. One of those reasons is because it's so difficult to get a doctor's appointment. We don't have an urgent care centre in this constituency. If you're over in Rushden or Higham Ferris or Beaujette, it can take 20 minutes to 40 minutes to get to Corby or Kettering if you need to be seen.
Which is a frustration, but how are you going to, if you were the next MP, how would you solve that? Because, you know, that's happening all over the region, isn't it?
Well, thank you very much. We actually got West Streeting here not only yesterday, but a couple of weeks ago. Rachel Reeves has come to the constituency multiple times, and obviously they both know that should I be the MP, I'll be lobbying them, both sides, for money for an urgent care centre here in Isbrook. But also, we have National Labour Party pledges to create.
Yeah, we know the national pledges. Helen, levelling up, my goodness me, that is a phrase the government loves to, but it's not very levelling, it's not very level if on one side of the road you're living longer than on the other.
I think Jen has entirely missed the point when it comes to health inequality. What determines your health is only about 20% related to the healthcare that you get, the formal healthcare that we get through the NHS. The other 80% is about your education. It's about the environment you're growing up in. It's about safety, as we were talking about earlier on. It's about your ability to get a good job and a good future. It is so much more. Of course, we need to sort out the urgent care centre. We've been campaigning for it for years. We were promised it a long time ago, and it was suddenly taken off the table without any explanation. I will absolutely hit the ground running with that campaign to get our urgent care centre.
But what do you see as the one thing to get this equality then, this
what is
levelling
much
up?
more fundamental is there is not one single thing. It is absolutely everything. You point to me at any time in our history, whether it's been a Labour government in power or a Conservative government in power, where there's not been disparity in life expectancy between these two areas we're talking about now. It's incredibly complex, and I've been working on it myself on Northamptonshire Council. One of my responsibilities is public health. We've been doing a huge amount of work, particularly through local area partnerships, where I've come across Father Ben several times, because we're trying to get better youth services. And we were talking about nipping things in the bud, early intervention. It's programmes like that that are going to be absolutely vital.
OK, Marion, you're waving at me. What would you add to that list?
Well, I think we have to understand the financial position for lots of people across the whole of this constituency. You know, we live in an area where we've got 30% less than the national average people in managerial and professional jobs, and we've got 40% more than the national average, low-paid, low-skilled work. We need to have a revolution across the entire area about how we can create new jobs that enable opportunity and enable optimism.
Let me go to Anna about the job thing, because actually it was interesting that the woman who has opened up her garage to be a food bank around here, she's saying actually it's people who are working that are coming.
Yeah,
because
I've
they
spoken
need the food.
to several food banks. We've got teachers, police officers and nurses going to food banks. So there's something fundamentally wrong and broken.
How do you change it?
You talked about youth and early intervention. The Police Crime Commissioner has £2.45 million sitting there that he's hived off the police budget for youth services. This place here, Wellingborough, we have 29% more crimes here than on average for the whole of Northamptonshire. Where on earth is that nearly £2.5 million? It certainly isn't being spent here. So the MP should lobby and get that money here.
Is it all about money then?
A good economy, a healthy economy, will yield to better health results. And what we've had over the last 25 years of Labour government and then Conservative government, sadly, is more borrowing, more taxation, more killing of the private sector, dumbing down of the worker. We've got a broken labour force in the United Kingdom. It does not pay to work in the UK anymore. What we urgently need to do is cut taxes on the working and middle classes, take 6 million people out of the tax net at the lower end, so they can have aspiration, so they can go forward, keep legitimately what is theirs. And the thing not to do, by the way, is to require them to upgrade their houses at vast cost, when actually they're living on a subsistence level.
All right, let me get Will to answer that point.
It's kicking the can down the road. We're doing the same thing. The point I would like to make, particularly going back to Wellingborough, is the elephant in the room is not just life expectancy, it's healthy life expectancy. Healthy life expectancy is even lower than the statistics you're showing. Yeah. That is a function of quality of life, quality of environment, quality of diet. We need to make people's lives better, and that is a holistic effort that includes better environments, it includes insulating homes, it includes better food, it includes better living conditions, it includes houses that aren't full of mould.
I want to give you all a chance now to listen to the concerns and the hopes, actually, of a 16-year-old local student. So she's got a couple of years before she can vote herself. But I'm telling you, she knows exactly what she thinks the next MP should be focusing on.
Hi, my name is Alicia. I'm a sixth form student at Weavers Academy and I'm currently studying A-levels. The drama department was honestly one of my safe spaces, so I think safe spaces for children definitely need to be provided. I know crime rate is a big thing, and I know sometimes peers, not necessarily children in school, but older peers, sometimes they can try to be intimidating. Children love throwing around words like, oh, I'm going to stab you, and that can really damage someone's, where they feel safe. I definitely stress on investment in young people and education. If you come into a school and it's got all high-tech, brand new stuff, it's going to make you sit there and go, wow, I'm in such a great place, I want to learn. But if you're in a place that's maybe not so much like that, you kind of lose motivation. Wellingborough is a place that has so much potential, and I think that somebody needs to do something with that potential.
So how are you all going to harness that potential? That's what Alicia wants to know. But I don't want you to tell me, I want you to tell Alicia. So Ben, let's start with you. Can you look down the camera there? You've got 20 seconds to convince Alicia you're the man for the job.
Well, Alicia, the key thing is that when you leave education, that you enter the world with aspiration. The world should be your oyster. You should be able to go out with confidence, self-confidence in who you are, the country that you live in, and flourish. Low taxation, deregulated, championing the economy for the benefit of the youth of this country.
That's your 20. Will.
Hello, Alicia. Well, you, your friends and your community deserve better. Safety is a basic human right. With the Greens, we're interested in having more police on the beat, giving you a valid career path, apprenticeships, university and so forth, a better environment where you can go out and enjoy, and dealing with people who are antisocial, dealing with people who cause problems.
That's your time.
Thank you.
So Marion, how are you going to unlock that potential?
Alicia, I really liked your words, your enthusiasm, and I see you being a crucial part of the team that is this community of Wellingborough. We need you to bring your energy and add it to other young people's energy within our communities so that we can transition where we live to be much safer, much rewarding and a successful place for all of us to live together.
That's your time, thank you. Okay, Anna.
Hi, Alicia. I understand you're going to be a psychologist. Well, there's a lot of psychology going here in this room, I'm sure. So, Wellingborough is a very proud town, and Northamptonshire is a proud county. And there's a lot of people that are fighting here to make this a better place.
That's the time. Jen.
Firstly, Alicia, I'm sorry that we, the adults in the room, have failed you and that you don't feel safe. I grew up and went to school in a very similar school to you, and I know that it's not necessarily the GCSEs you get, but what you do with it. As your MP, I would champion and I would work with you and the community to make sure that A, you feel safe, and B, that we can work together to make sure that people are proud of Wellingborough and it's not just put on the map for a by-election.
Okay. And Helen, finally, to you.
Thank you, Alicia. Wellingborough is truly a wonderful place to grow up and to live. And I'm sorry that sometimes it doesn't feel as safe as it should. You talked about the safety and inspiration that you get from your school. And what I'd like to do as your MP is I would like your next step to be just as nurturing. I'd like businesses to come into our communities, be ready to help our students of the future.
All right, okay, well done, and thank you to all of you for taking part. Just to remind you, there are 11 candidates standing. To read a bit more about all of them, you need to go to the BBC website and search for Wellingborough by-election. Now look, Father Ben has been sitting quietly over here, listening to everything that has been said. I'm just interested in your thoughts, really.
Well, it's been great to hear the passion, and what we need is that passion to transfer to delivery. So a real community champion who delivers for this area, and I look forward to working with the successful candidate in transforming this piece of Wellingborough.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much for having us here. Wellingborough goes to the polls on Thursday. So from all of us at St Mark's Church, goodbye.